I'm ready.
Ready. Hi everyone. I don't know why Jess adds. Hi everyone. So it's Kim, Rachel, and we've got a special guest today speaking with Sugar and Spice. We've got one of my bestest friends, Ann Grier. She is a close friend of mine. I wanted her to come on and talk with myself and Rachel today because Ann has in the past gone through some bikini competitions, and we feel that it's really important to kind of discuss this subject because it's really pushed as a body ideal that women strive for. As a close friend of Ann's, I used to think that I wanted to do that, and then I saw what she went through and the discipline and the dedication, but then also the mental challenges with it as well, and how it's not really as glamorous as it's all cracked up to be, although she did look fantastic and still does. We still love her. But I thought, Anne, if you could just introduce yourself to our lovely audience and just say like what you did, like in terms of how many competitions you did and that kind of thing.
Okay, so hello everybody. I'm Anne, and like Kim said, I'm one of her best friends. So about 7-8 years ago, I decided, having watched someone that I know do a bikini competition, just a local one, that I thought that I could do that and I could do that better. So that's when I started my little bodybuilding journey, as it were. So started trained with a few friends, and then the year later did competition, had someone do some training plans for me and some diet plans, and it kind of all went from there. Very strict. My first diet was only for 6 weeks, whereas normal dieting is anything between about 12 and 16 weeks, depending on how much weight you need to lose. So relatively, the first one wasn't too bad, and of course it was new and it was exciting. So it was, it was good to do it the first time round. So
and you won that one, didn't you? That was the local
one.
I
did win
you
that
won
one,
that
but
one.
It was only little. Yeah, so yeah, I did win that one, and I was so proud and everything. But then it kind of made me think, oh wow, I want to do this again. So, and yeah, and then it kind of wasn't so successful the next couple of times, and then led to all sorts of mental health problems and food problems. So yeah, but all is good now, pretty much. But yeah,
well, that's the other reason why I obviously want you to come on, because I was like, fabulous age, looking amazing, and you have come through the other side and you want to share that important message with other women.
yeah.
What can I just ask, what was like the main, was it just that you saw someone and you thought that you could do better, or was there any other motivation behind? Because I know when you started, like, you didn't, like, I think you started doing my spin classes, but then it just completely took off with your training.
Yeah, so just, I don't know, it was just like a challenge, I think, in the beginning, and like, really wanted to get into training, and so it was just something to kind of get into. I always kind of gone to the gym and never lifted weights really, because you got that whole that whole big beef blokes or whatever, macho, huffing and puffing and grunting away in the gym, and it is intimidating. It's intimidating not only just for women or for girls, for men as well. So but I kind of trained with a friend, and built the confidence up, but it's taken years and years and years and years to get the confidence up to just like walk in a gym and start lifting weights, and to not have anyone, not to worry about what you think you may look like or the other people around you. So yeah, but I can't remember what the question was now.
No, it was just what made you decide, but that makes sense, like knowing you, why you'd want to take on a challenge and be like, yeah, I can do that. But then obviously we know that it's went further. And
then I think I get, personally, as a personal person, I get quite if I get into something, I like to give it my all. So but that's with anything that I do. So but it's just a kind of a shame that really it's a shame I don't know now what I knew then, because I think if I went and did it now and even went on stage, I think it would be a completely different matter. Not that I would ever do that again, but I think mentally, physically, I don't think physically this is the best I've ever looked now. But it's a mind game. But lifting weights is so much better than just, you know, stepping on the treadmill and things like that, because you see your body changing, and yes, like the scales may go up, for instance, but actually aesthetically you build the curves and you have definition, and for me, I really like that. I don't know if that's everyone's cup of tea, but for me that's how I like to look. I like to look at my muscles. I'm proud of them. I've worked bloody hard to get them. And that's and there's lots more girls out there starting to lift weights and stuff, but there's also a lot of girls out there who just like to lift weights and take a selfie, which is a shame for Instagram to make them look amazing, but there you go, that's another.
It's all about the angles, Anne.
Oh, it's all about the bits.
I haven't learned those angles yet. I'm still trying to discover those angles, so
I'd debate that, but anyway. But let's go down the route of the nutrition, because I know, like, I can see Rachel's like, I want to ask questions about nutrition. I think that's a really important part, because we're like, the women that we encounter, they either do lots of cardiovascular, lots and lots of cardiovascular training, so much, but then also really underfeeding their body, but they're not kind of, I don't quite know if they 100% know what they want to achieve and whether it is that bikini aesthetic. But as you know, like you were saying about weights, that your body's been the best it's ever been with growing muscle, and you've worked hard for that. But then I remember going for the dietary side, so I think it'd be great for Rachel to discuss about like body composition and that process that you went through. So I will hand over to my lovely colleague Rachel.
Oh, thank you, Annie, for talking to me. So like I said to you before, bodybuilding has been something that I've been really interested in and passionate about, and I've followed it, throughout the years. I loved Arnold Schwarzenegger when I was growing up. And
do you know what? When I was a kid, a kid, I had this is going back to the days of LP, what they called, like the old vinyl.
Vinyl, yeah.
I had Arnold Schwarzenegger workout. I've still got it in the loft.
Exactly. So it's kind of, it's always, and then I followed the women's bikini and figure competitions all the way through. So I've had a real personal interest in it, and I've worked with a lot of bodybuilders as well. So from my perspective, as someone who works within personalised nutrition, I know how restrictive the plans can be if you don't give yourself enough time to kind of first of all lay down that muscle and then be able to strip it away. And I do believe that there is a healthy way of doing it, but I'm really interested to understand your journey through it. So you mentioned that you kind of had a 6-week plan, which is really short in bodybuilding plans. So what were you doing? What were you advised to do at that particular time?
So food wise, it was, and I do kind of try and stick to this, and not the diet, just the regime of it. And I've always done that kind of since. Would eat sort of 5-6 meals a day, and that's what I try and do now, for more definitely getting proteins in 5-6 times a day. But so smaller meals, all weighed out. For the bodybuilding side of things, when dieting, everything was weighed, minimal fats, everything was restricted. Everything is restricted, so your carbs are quite restricted. It was literally 0 fat, like I said. High protein.
And what effect did that have over you over those 6 weeks? So did you notice?
I think the first 6 weeks was,
because it's not that long. It's really, the first time it's probably okay, wasn't it?
So the first 6 weeks was fine, because we went on holiday straight from that, didn't we? Yes, the first 6 weeks was fine, and I don't suppose my body, it wasn't like a shock to it. But I think as the time went on, and I restricted things like fats. I mean, I barely didn't, I wouldn't even drink milk in a cup of tea, for instance, because I wasn't allowed it. And I didn't have any fruit in my diet. You know, things like eggs and stuff, there was no egg yolks. You know, even like everyone likes an avocado these days, nothing like that. It was just literally rice, meat, you know, I'm talking turkey, chicken, tuna, you know, like red meat maybe once a week. I still have a phobia now about eating a banana.
Yeah.
Because a banana is still I will eat them, but I still find eating bananas funny to this day, because bananas to me have so much sugar in them. But I wasn't allowed anything like that. I wasn't even allowed an apple. It's you know, it's crazy.
And so when you went through your journey, so you did your first competition and then you went on and did your subsequent competitions. So what was your on and off season like nutritionally? Or did you even have an off season? Did you kind of keep your diet quite strict throughout the whole year?
I kept it pretty strict. Well, probably because I wanted it kept quite strict. So my calories did up a little bit, but it was still all very much where you can eat this, you can eat that. I would have for one of a menu with 2 or 3 choices, and that was it. So I spent my life, or for a few years, just weighing everything, you know, just sticking to the same things. If I went out, you know, I would only be able to go out if it was on a cheat day, for instance. You know, and in the end, it overwhelms you, it overwhelms your life, and I didn't even want to go out in the end. Didn't even want to go out in the end because I didn't drink any alcohol. Not that I'm fussed about drinking alcohol anyway, never really have been, but you know, just anything, it just took over my life for the worse.
And so from a perspective of kind of disordered eating, not necessarily on the kind of spectrum of an eating disorder, but do you think there was a pattern of disordered eating over that period of time that was kind of setting in that you didn't quite realise was happening at the time?
Yeah, I think it's so gradual. I think it's so gradual, and you're in that moment that you don't see it, where but everyone else around you see it. I mean, I think Kim probably saw me at the gym, you know, looking like death warmed up, really. You know, feeling quite ill, no energy,
just hormonally as well. What was going on hormonally around that time?
Well, I didn't have a good track record with hormones anyway, so my periods did stop. They stopped for a good few months. They stopped. So
coming out of it then, from a nutrition, did you have support nutritionally, or were you just given a plan to follow for kind of 12 weeks, or you know, all your cycles that all you were given? Or
yes, there was never heard of oh god, what's it called, reverse dieting. Never had heard of that until a long time after. I think maybe if that was the case, it might have been better. But you get so obsessed with the way you look as well that you don't want to start putting on a few kilos and weight, because you know, and I'm still like it today. I still get obsessed over my weight, as Kim will tell you, and food wise, I do kind of like to stick to my safe stuff, as it were, I suppose. But you know, I ate a packet of biscuits the other night. That you know, I train hard, I'm consistent with my training, and the scales may say a pound or 2, you know, heavier probably the 2 days after, but I know that 2 days after that it'll have gone.
Absolutely.
So and depending how I've trained and stuff like that, so you do have to be kind of quite mindful with the scales. Really.
So what did you do? So after the competition, a lot of people after bodybuilding competitions, they'll go to absolute binging. How long would that last for? Was it quite a long time, you would say, or were you again in that?
I think you end up, you go out and you eat everything you can possibly imagine straight after for a couple of days. You know, for a few days, and then you think, right, okay, I'll give myself like a week of doing whatever I want to do, and then I get back on it. but it's just not as easy as that.
No.
It's just not as easy as that. It's just, you know, and then but your body is craving. Your body is naturally just craving, like, and you know, sugar is so addictive anyway. I don't, you know, I don't have a lot of sugar in my diet anyway because I'm a dental nurse. So, you know, I'm quite strict when it comes to sugar anyway. So it's just, yeah, well, you know, and then in the end you do whatever you can do to, so if you do have a binge, I would then go and exercise ridiculously, you know, crying out in the streets, walking around, riding a bike, or, you know, I've done some silly things with, I mean, I don't know, various tablets, you know, fat burners, prescribed medication that wasn't mine. I've done lots of silly things, but I'm not ashamed to say it, if you know what I mean, because it's what happens, and you and depending on who you get involved with, they're kind of feeding it to, not feeding it as in giving it to you, but they're saying, well, you know, if you do this, you do that, you can be so much better. And, you know, so taking medication that's you shouldn't have been taking, you know, I think it was a really sad time, very sad time. And then in the end, you know, it ended up with, I was diagnosed with an eating disorder, so, and that's where it did end up. So
and it's a real shame, and I think that's the whole misconception with bodybuilding nutrition as a whole, is that it's never really been based on evidence or evidence-based science. It's been based on practices that have been handed down through the generation of bodybuilding, and unfortunately that whole ethos is built on a man's man's body, and it hasn't taken into account the female hormone system. So I think that the way that transfers into female bodybuilding, it's, you know, when you're stripping body fats that much out of the diet, you're interrupting hormone health, but you're also affecting brain health, because 70% brain fats, your
my skin, my hair, everything. It's, you know, it's you know, when I started eating, you know, putting fats back in my diet, I could see my skin changing, and just, you know, and it's funny, it is a bit of a misconception when it comes to, you know, or fat makes fat kind of thing. Well, actually it doesn't. Just overeating makes fat. So, you know, it's actually not rocket science. So, you know, everyone says, oh, you can't eat fats because you're just going to get fat. Well, actually, you know, it doesn't. Everything, you know, for me now, it's everything in moderation. In fact, if anything, I probably eat a higher fat diet than I do with carbs or anything, to be honest. And I you know, I just probably, like I said to Kim, probably 80-20 for me when it comes to food wise. I don't beat myself up anymore, because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. And if you take, you know, if you restrict yourself on anything, you actually want it all the more. And then that's so when
true. Oh my god, that's so true. So you have
it's not as anything, isn't it?
Yeah, you've done the whole cycle with it. You've really been on a journey with your bodybuilding career, and it's so good that you've been able to actually come out of it, you know, okay. So what has been the lasting effect? So for anyone who is thinking of going to do a bodybuilding competition, what advice would you give them, knowing what you know now?
I would first of all question why you want to do it, and mentally, are you in a good state? Because at the end of the day, you need to love yourself before you get on that stage. Okay, so I think for me, I was probably on that stage looking to be validated, maybe to actually for somebody to tell me that, yeah, I look amazing. Well, actually, I did look amazing, but because I didn't win the second and third time round, I thought I was a failure. And then, you know, so you need to be asking yourself as to why you're doing it, and make sure you do get good, proper, you know, support, you know, that you're not just dumped afterwards. So it's, that's what I would say. You know, just why are you doing it? And actually, do you actually need somebody to be up there and tell you that you look amazing to win a competition? No, you don't. You know, I don't train because I want somebody to tell me that I look great. I like to train now because I like to look at myself and think, yeah, I think I look amazing in my physique, or, you know, and I see my changes all the time. So I'm still seeing changes. So I just think train for yourself and do it for yourself, not because you feel like you need somebody to make you feel that, you know, you're great or you look great or anything. That's what I would say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. No, it's brilliant. It's really good to hear your story, because, you know, just that whole journey, I think the whole kind of cycle that you go through, and the highs and the lows from a nutritional perspective. And it is, you know, I think the thing to get across to people is that it is not a quick fix to get a body like that.
No, it's
people
not.
think,
And building muscle takes years.
oh my goodness, it
takes
does.
years and years and years, you know. But yeah, you can see changes up, you know, after a few
weeks or a few months.
Yeah, you can see changes, but to build proper muscle, and, you know, and I'm no expert, I just, you know, I have training plans drawn up for me now, and it's good because I like that, because I don't kind of have to think about it too much about what I want to do. And so it's, if anything, that's what I would suggest, is having some training plans and a decent healthy diet, you know, where you can have a bit of this and a bit of that, you know, and go down that route. But getting on stage, no. And another thing, which is kind of just thrown out there, it is really expensive.
Is it? Yeah.
I remember you, like,
a lot of the time it costs a lot. I got in debt doing it.
Wow.
Because you know, a bikini, you're looking anywhere between £300 and £1,000. You know, you got your shoes, the food, you know, buying all the food all the time, expensive.
And the supplements.
So,
and,
you know, and if you've got young children, your life will be consumed with it.
What was your training like, just out of curiosity, Anne, like in terms of like building muscle and then dieting it down, like?
So it kind of changed a couple of times, but I would always do like kind of legs and booty a couple of times a week, and then I would do like I don't know, I've always done it like shoulders and tries, and then back and buys kind of thing, that kind of split.
But was it predominantly just weights? Because a lot of women out there are trying to build muscle, but as I've always said, they're trying to chuck too many things in a bag. So they're doing like excess cardio and then trying to do weights and then trying to do this, but it's not actually following the process and procedure to build muscle. Training now, I don't do. Well, I don't know. I suppose it's kind of changed a little bit since COVID kicked in, whereas like obviously all the gyms shut and stuff like that. So I was doing quite a lot of kind of body weight HIIT stuff until my equipment arrived at home. but then I've quite enjoyed that. But then I've obviously got the kind of muscle base there, I suppose, already. So I was doing a lot of body weight stuff. But yeah, no. But other than that, I don't really do any cardio. Just to warm up. Did you do any cardio in like the build up for your? Because I know some bodybuilders, don't they? Like I know, like my old housemate Steve, he used to get up ridiculously early and do like an hour's cardio on a bike.
A day. Yeah, I would do fasted cardio.
So how many times a week would you train? When you were doing it for the
twice a day.
Twice a day.
6 times a week.
6 times a week. Because I just remember, like, when you get, sorry, Rachel, like just when she,
sorry,
on probably about 1,400 calories.
Oh, you knew what I was going to ask.
Maybe not even that. Maybe not even that. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's nothing.
Yeah.
But I just remember before the shows, like especially when you got the Don Stylers one wasn't too bad, like the first one you did, but like the next two, as you got like maybe 2 weeks before a show, you were just so exhausted, so tired, so like overwhelmed by everything.
You got nothing in you. Nothing. You're just emotional wreck. Hormones are all over the place. Stressed out. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm putting all you ladies off.
Yeah, but I think it's as Rachel said, though, isn't it? It's not taking into account the hormone cycle, and if your cycle is stopping, that's clearly your body saying that this is not right for you. And your body, just as you say, it gets overwhelmed. But it was like post-show, wasn't it? When we went to Turkey after the first one, like your ankles really swelled up with water retention. So I don't know
was like
why.
a balloon, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like a balloon. Yeah, I looked like I had elephant legs.
Oh God, that's no good, is it? After you've just done
terrible. I looked awful. I looked awful when I got back.
Oh my goodness.
But
God.
yeah, so
it's electrolyte imbalance, isn't it? Just because you're so dehydrated and
so just get into your training, ladies, and just enjoy it and just work on yourself. That's what you got to do, is work on yourself.
When a lot of people go on a weight loss journey, did it take you a while to accept the person that you were in the mirror, if that makes sense? So you had like old Anne, and sometimes when people go through a dramatic weight loss, not like, but your body shape changed and who you were like up on stage is, you know, different. Did you find it hard to accept that that was the new person that you were, or did you kind of take yourself along the journey, if that makes sense?
I don't know really. I don't know. I suppose I look in the mirror and think, yeah, that's new me. When I look back on pictures from like 10 years ago, I mean, God, but I've changed. Everything about me has changed. So I'm happy where I am now. It's taken a long time to get here. Yeah. I mean, we all have down days, don't we?
Sure do.
But it's funny because I said to you, didn't I, Kim, the other week, like sometimes I feel a bit pressurized, like with people around me, because they like, you know, oh, Anne's this and Anne's that, and well, actually, what if I didn't want to? What if I wanted to give training up and become bigger or whatever? You know, I feel like I could never do that now because I've got this image about me that I've got to carry it on. But you know, I like training. I like training physically, the way it makes me feel, and mentally the way it makes me feel as well. So it's, you know, I don't know, has that answered your question?
No, it does. Like, as you say, you kind of went on a journey, and the nice thing is, as much as I know, like you were saying about the stage, it's for validation, but it wasn't a really like I'll be happy when moment. It was kind of, you were more on a journey yourself, if that makes sense. So a lot of people go on a weight loss journey.
It became a journey. Yeah, it became. Yeah, it's almost like a challenge to yourself, isn't it? Like how far can you come, or how far can you push yourself? So it's just consistency pays off. So you know, and I do have days where I don't want to train. I'd like to train this evening, but I don't think I should do with my arm. So
oh no, not the best thing. No.
So yeah, I'm doing this global challenge at the moment with work as well, where I'm supposed to do a minimum of 10,000 steps a day, which I normally do, in all honesty, if not more. But I don't even think I've made that today.
In fairness, the weather has been pretty pants for that, so I can't blame you.
I feel like I'm letting the team down at work with the steps. So, but never mind. Oh well.
I guess the main take homes is, if you're going to do it, get a good support team in place, isn't it, really? As you say, Rachel said, you can do it healthily, but it's having that mental support, that right training plan, and the support along the way to take an athlete into it, but also out the other side. It is not for I'll be happy when moment.
More importantly, out the other side. Otherwise, you end up putting all your, you know, your good changes to waste, don't you? Because it just spirals out of control. Yeah. Which is you know, which is what you don't want. So. You know, and I don't see it as, I think you should just see it as a life change, isn't it? Just, you know, healthy eating, training. You know, you probably don't have to train. I like to train, so you know, training 5-6 times a week for me, it's not a hardship. You know, a lot of you know, everyone moans and groans about, oh, I've got to go to the gym or what like that, and it's a hardship, isn't it? But it's not. I think when you get into it so much and you see the changes, that's actually, you do become a bit addicted. But
it's important to know that you're an advanced user, like not a user, advanced trainer now. So doing like, you're advanced. You are advanced. Oh, there you go. I've just told you you're advanced. Like, you've had a body transformation. You're advanced. You're definitely advanced with your exercises, but to build up to that volume 5 to 6 times a week, you know, you have to have quite a high tolerance, but also a good diet to support it and good sleep practices. Because if you're heading to the 6 times a week, like with the intensity that you go at, you can risk overtraining and burnout. So it's just making sure that you're supporting your system in that. And I know that when we train, we do some weeks very much, I think, more are in line with our cycles a lot more, that we'll down the intensity if it's not right, or that kind of thing. So we are kind of listening to our bodies gradually, although you still beat me all the time.
Yeah, I know, but Kim, I don't have those lady problems anymore, do I? So
well, that is true. Yeah, that will do that. But yeah,
so
but still,
advantage.
But you can still overtrain. That's the point.
Yeah, and sometimes I do, because sometimes I do, and I think when I've overtrained or I'm absolutely exhausted, that's when I eat the packet of biscuits, just literally to give me a boost. So, you know, so we are all human.
Yeah,
we are.
So
it's nice to see you a lot happier and out of that kind of bodybuilding, but in a, you know, a happy place if you're training. Because I know that sometimes you battle with the fact that it's hard, because some people don't always accept the fact that you train and you exercise, because there's a real resistance against, like, if you don't drink alcohol or if you exercise, that people fight that as well. But it's nice that actually, like, you know that you need it for yourself and your well-being.
I don't think, not everyone gets it. Not everyone gets the whole gym and training thing. Was that earlier? Was that last year or this year? I tore my rotary cuff, didn't I?
Last year.
Was that last year?
Yeah.
And I could barely train because I was in so much pain with it. I was just in tears, like, because I couldn't train. I just couldn't train, and it was, you know. But people were like, "Oh, I can't see why you're like bothered about it." Well, actually, it's like my life, so it's not just the only thing in my life, but
it's a mental release. It's a release, isn't it, for your body? Like, that's why I exercise. That's why Rachel exercises. You need exercise to make you feel better.
You do. You get all those, you know, those hormones, don't you, released? So
testosterone.
Yeah.
Well, we are running out of time, ladies, because Zoom is going to boot us off. I know. So thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to.
Thank you.
Lovely
Thank you for asking me.
Really good.
No, it was lovely. So I'll wrap it up. But thank you very much, Anne, and I'll catch up with you anyway, because I always do.
Yes.
But
nice to meet you, Rachel.
Take care.
Maybe actually getting to do me a diet.
I know, and you know what? I would love to, and we should train together at some point as well.
Oh yeah. Maybe when the gym's open, we could have a little group session.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Film it.
It's a date.